Hello, my name is Ralph Ellis. I'm with the Ontario Lawn Bowls Association, and today we're talking with Philip Francis and Karen Atkin about how to run a corporate event. The Leaside Club in Toronto has run corporate events for several years and has been very successful at it, and I think I'll actually have Philip and Karen talk about the Leaside experience and the history of their program.
Okay, so Leaside Lawn Bowling Club started doing corporate events about 10 years ago. We have every year averaged around 10 events. It was started by putting on the website team building at Leaside and a description of what that meant, lawn bowling. The advantage of lawn bowling over golf is that lawn bowling is inclusive. Golf is not so you can do it. The way we set it up is the people arrive, we talk about lawn bowling and the lawn bowl itself and what it does, and we go out in the green, they do a bit of a practice up and down, and they're ready to go. We play 4-3-2-1, and everybody has a great time. The important thing is that there needs to be a company coordinator to coordinate all the details from the company's side of things, and a coordinator at the club to coordinate the details for the club side, which is getting volunteers and setting up the greens and one thing and another. But it's been very successful.
Yeah. Well, I understand that the program is taking in as much as about $10,000 a year, and that you tend to run about 5 or 6 events per year.
Yeah, we've set a budget for $10,000 for each year for corporate events. That includes Lawn Summer Nights, some alumni events for local middle schools. We've got return visitors that have an annual visit, and they play for a cup between different departments within the company. So yeah, it's been very successful. Never had to worry too much about the greens or breakage, or we've not had any insurance issues. So it runs fairly smoothly.
Yeah, we also have the high school often come. We charge them a lesser rate than we do our other rental rates. And
right,
yeah.
So high school, we charge $5 per person. The interesting thing about high school is that since we started doing having the high school come to the club, we have had no graffiti. So, there's been a side effect to having the kids come to the club and learn about lawn bowling and have that experience. And one of the side effects is that we've had no graffiti. I don't know if it's related or not, but it's a fact that we haven't had that in many years. So it's $5 for the students.
Actually, it's 10. Yeah, it's much less than the other rentals.
Okay, so actually, how much would we normally charge for, let's say, a business, a for-profit group, and then a non-profit group, and then of course the students?
So for a profit group, for a business, we charge $30 per person, and we have a minimum of I think we have a minimum of 16 people. So we'll put the event on for less than 16, but financially it's based on the rental fee is based on a minimum of 16, $30 per person. The middle schools that we do the alumni events with, we charge $15 per group. And as Karen mentioned, I think there's like 100 over one of the schools, and one of the other schools is less, but it's giving back to the community and an awareness within the community of the club and what we do. And that's a good benefit.
And one of the important things from the financial side when you're doing this is to consult with the treasurer at your club. So it's a great source of revenue, but you want to make sure about what the impact is on the overall budget. At our club, one of the constraining factors is if we collect too much, then the club may impact their status with regard to having to collect HST. And so we have that discussion with our treasurer and then make decisions based on that. So it's always an important factor in the consideration.
And I think currently the limit is around about $10,000 before that starts becoming a factor.
As I understand it, the HST is based on the overall revenue at the club, whether it's from membership or for rentals. So it's really just your total revenue. But each club has different circumstances. Some clubs have bars that have revenue and other things. So you just need to talk to your treasurer and figure it out to make sure that you're not going to do something where at the end of the year, the tax man comes knocking on your door and saying, hey, you owe us a little bit of money.
And that's an important point. The alcohol, we expect, and in the discussion setting up the event, it's made clear that we don't have a licensed facility and that somebody from the organisation is going to have to get a special occasion permit. A special occasion permit for alcohol. So that's one aspect. We expect the company to ensure that their employees abide by the company's code of conduct for behaviour. We talk about that in the initial stages, so that if there is going to be alcohol, it needs to be controlled by the company. We explain that we are not a catering service. We don't do catering, but we can help them find caterers from the local community. And if there's going to be food, then that has to be discussed how that's going to happen, whether it's lunch or whether it's like a dinner. Many companies go to a local restaurant after they've finished lawn bowling and have a dinner as a season event. And
just remind the companies have to provide their own.
The main objective is everyone's got to have fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and companies have to provide, as a reminder, their own certificate of insurance, and you want to see that before the event starts, or at least have them confirm that they have it. Now, go ahead.
So we're going to have to cut that part out because that's a whole other discussion, because I've gotten conflicting advice about that.
Okay. Yeah, it may be a little bit more complicated, but the event has to be insured in some fashion, one way or another. Now,
so it's typically, when it's a company, I always say it's their responsibility. That's in the agreement. Insurance is their responsibility. For other groups, we register the event with OLBA, and John Fenton is aware of the event, and it's covered by OLBA's insurance.
Okay. Now,
the school is also covered by their own provisions. So but the event needs to be, at some point, there needs to be an agreement that there's insurance, regardless of who it is that's carrying the risk.
Okay. Now, if a club is starting up a new corporate events program, how would they go about getting customers for this? Where would they recruit? Where would they advertise?
Well, it's interesting because when we set up the Leaside website and we put the team building experience available at the club, we never advertised. We just got people found us through the web. That was the first, at the beginning, that's how it started. Then we started doing Lawn Summer Nights, and there were people within Lawn Summer Nights, we have a large group of people that come to Lawn Summer Nights, around 140. We got referrals from the people who participated in Lawn Summer Nights through the companies that they work for. And that was repeat business. So
so we haven't had to do any advertising other than the website. And every year for the last several years, we've actually had a wait list because we have a finite capacity for the number of events that we can have due to our volunteers. We don't want to burn our volunteers out. And so, as I say, every year we have a wait list and we turn people away. I generally refer them to neighboring clubs that I know also do rentals.
Okay. So usually you're looking at holding about 6 events a year?
It varies. If we have a bunch of small ones, we could have like 10. If it's larger ones, then it's a smaller number.
One of the other things that we do, Ralph, is we do Buck and Doe events, anniversary events, birthday events. There's been quite a few different events that we've done over the years.
Okay. And also in this revenue, we have members rentals. So we have someone whose husband is celebrating a big birthday this year. I can't remember which one. And so she wants to, host an event at the club for his birthday. Our neighbors across the street from our club, he's doing a surprise party for his wife at the club, where they'll bowl for a couple of hours and then just walk across the road to their house for the remainder of the birthday party.
Okay. Now, how
And,
many?
and neighbors are also an important consideration for any clubs that are in a more residential area. So you do need to make sure that your events are held in such a way and at such times that you don't negatively impact your neighbors.
Yeah, there were actually a couple of clubs in the UK that had noise complaints registered against them, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Well, what we did, Ralph, when we first started Lawn Summer Nights, because there is music and it is loud, we prepared a letter and I went and spoke to all the neighbours and advised what we're going to do. And I think we had one question in 10 years about when are they going to be finished?
Yeah.
But it's not been an issue.
Yeah, and we generally have them finished by 10 p.m. Regardless of what the local bylaws are, 10 p.m. is a pretty reasonable time. So that works well.
Now, how many volunteers do you need to run a corporate event?
Well, one per rink and one person to set up.
Yeah, and then you do need somebody who's committed to be there for the whole time. So they need to show up early enough to open up the club, do the setup, but also receive the organizer from the company, because they usually want to come a few minutes early. You need to get your contract from them. You need to get their check. And then the same at the back end for cleanup. We require our renters to do their own cleanup, not like cleaning the club, but clean up all their trash and put away everything. And so
one of the provisions is that they take the rubbish away. Anything they bring, they take. They don't leave rubbish at the club.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, that's nice.
So just the last thing I'd say about this in general, doing corporate events should not be a method of subsidising the membership fee. If you're going to do that, you're going to wear your club out. What you should be aiming to do when you do corporate events is use the money to improve the facilities at the club. So it's not used to subsidise, as I said, the membership fee, but as an example, you buy decent barbecues, which the club benefits from because they're good barbecues and they get cleaned professionally once a year. Buy additional sets of bowls or more equipment that is going to be beneficial to the members.
Or spend money on marketing. I mean, just most clubs.
Spend marketing, put money into marketing through the co-op program at OLBA so that you're advertising membership and growing your membership. Those are the sorts of things really that the objective is to set up corporate events.
Now, how do you keep these events fun for the people who attend?
They always have a great time. 4, 3, 2, 1. They do their own measuring. They laugh at one another when they get the bias wrong, because they will. But the person who is on the rink usually checks the bias and helps them, if there's a problem. And doing 4, 3, 2, 1, what we do is we do up and down. So that's 4 ends. That's a game. And we play 3 games, which is 12 ends. And you move the team with the highest number of points so that it levels out over the course of the afternoon or the evening.
And in 4, 3, 2, 1, you can have those really short games. They're fun because even the person who's not closest to the jack can score points, and it's an easy to understand version of the game without being like highly competitive, and it really is just fun. You could do other kinds of games as well, but our experience is that works really well.
And when you set up the rinks, the way we do it is we put a pin 2 meters past the hog line, so they're not bowling, they're not throwing the jack. The jack is in a fixed position for both ways, 2 meters past the hog, and that way, if it seems to me that women will be able to get to that position more easily than if you have a really long rink. Yes. That's worked in the past very well.
Yes, at James Gardens we have the opposite situation where it's the speed people have trouble with because it's artificial surface. But yes, it's the big thing is for repeat business. We want to make this fun. We want to make it short, simple, easy. We don't want people to have any negative experiences. And this is what's going to generate repeat business.
I'll give you an example, Ralph, where we actually didn't know that at the time that the person who turned up in a wheelchair was the vice president of the company. And I said to her, well, you can bowl. We'll put you on an end rink and you can roll up and down on the end. It won't matter. And so we included her. And at the end of the day, when they were ready to leave, she said, I want you to know we'll be back every year. And then she told me who she was. I didn't know who she was, but it was just one of those things where you accommodate somebody and there's the reward.
And you do, you will need enough bowls for each person, or not person, for each rink. So you need at a minimum 2 sets of bowls per rink. And for a larger group, it'd be good to have more bowls. So there's more than 4 bowls per team. And generally smaller size bowls work better. Whether the players are men or women, their hands are big or large, they're new to bowling, so smaller bowls just work better.
And just a reminder that people usually you can get bowls fairly easily through like the New Horizons grant program or Trillium. One thing I recommend to clubs, if you have a lot of if you don't have colored bowls, if you have black and white bowls, that you actually get colored stickers. And what we do at James Gardens is actually we have stickers that say inside and outside, just as a subtle reminder for people in terms of bias. So that makes it a little easier for the very new people and makes it easy actually for our new players with our club bowls.
Yeah, we have 64 sets of bowls at Leaside. So what we do is we issue every player gets a set of bowls, and that way, and at the end of we put them out, but at the end of the event they put them back.
And at the big events where there's maybe 6 or 8 people on a rink, we have 2 sets of bowls per team, and then they share them amongst each team.
Okay. Very good. Now, one thing I'll remind people about is that one of the options you have here for if you're trying to take pressure off your volunteers, you can apply usually in January each year for a federal summer student grant program. So we can have a person who's out there each day helping with these events and helping with other things like coaching your club. So you can actually get some paid help for free from the federal government for this, but you always have to train your people. Like when you get people, you don't just throw them out there, you have to go out there and train them. Same thing we do with your volunteers. Are there any sort of last hints we've got here in terms of how to manage and organize these events, or how to deal with the paperwork, waivers, rental agreements, things like that?
Well, the rental agreement was what I was going to say, Ralph. Thank you for the segue. So over the years, we've gotten more structured with regard to how we do the rentals, and so we have a signed agreement that every renter signs. We started a number of years ago getting a deposit. It used to be that we just have them pay on the day, but we've got them doing a deposit because we're turning away people. So if we're turning away people, we need to know that those who've signed up are actually going to come. And then on the back of that rental agreement, we have a checklist that has all the details. So, where we are, what time they're going to come, the rental date, confirmation of the numbers, what they're going to do for alcohol, what they're going to do for everything else, just so that all those details are specified in black and white, and we don't forget to ask about it and they don't forget to tell us. Very
good. Now, any last thoughts actually from the two of you on running corporate events or promoting them, or other things that you've learned over the years from your experience?
So one thing about membership, you don't know where your membership's going to, you don't know where people are coming from at these corporate events, because they might work in a downtown office, but the people resident all over the GTA, as an example. I bumped into somebody at Oakville once that had a cottage up in Bracebridge, and she was a member of the Bracebridge Club as a result of her experience at Lawn Summer Nights. So you never know where the membership growth is going to come from. But one thing for sure, the people who participate in these corporate events always have a good time, and they are always advocating on behalf of lawn bowling within their communities and amongst their friends. So you never know where that benefit's going to come from. But the most important thing is that they have a good time, and that we can then expect them to come back in whatever form that event might take.
Yeah, one thing I'll toss in as a little reminder is that just remember, don't be put off by the idea of charging $30 a person or setting a minimum dollar charge that's relatively high, because whatever you charge, it will be less than what other groups charge. Compare yourself to a bowling alley and spending a similar time at a bowling alley, and it'll be way less than that.
So just one final thing we haven't mentioned. We also introduced a rock and bowl program, which Karen is the coordinator for, and that came from the same idea as these corporate events. We went to the curling club and we put flyers out saying we're going to have a league. It was 5 nights, and including an introduction, and gradually it grew. People who participated joined the club. We have probably about a third of our members at Leaside have come through that program. So that is a program where we do aim to grow our membership. Other organisations, community organisations that Probus, the Legion, there are lots of community organisations that you, as an organiser of corporate events, can approach and hopefully grow the program.
Right. And so the key thing about Rock and Bowl, it's targeted at curlers just because there's a really good fit between the two sports in terms of times and skill sets. But it's really the key thing about it is it's a time limit league. People pay a partial fee, not the full membership for the club. They come for the 6 weeks, 1 night a week in May and June. And then we have some people that have come back every year for 10 years, and that's all they do is rock and bowl. And then there's others who have such a good time that, as Philip says, they decide to join the club. But it's a really good way of having more than just an open house where people come once or they come maybe 2 or 3 times to come out. They can come and play in a structured league and have some fun. It's revenue for the club, and it's a good recruitment tool. That one is a recruitment tool. The rentals are not.
Very good. And so this is a great source of revenue for your club and something every club should consider. It's going to vary a little bit depending on your area. Obviously, like a small rural club may have fewer opportunities for this, but you might be surprised. There are a lot of small offices that will run events for a limited number of people, and I've known clubs that were in smaller areas that pulled in, again, $3,000 to $5,000 a year, which is, again, significant money in the course of several years because there are no restrictions in terms of using it. So with this, if you have questions, you can contact the OLBA, and we're happy to get you started. And again, also happy to refer you to clubs that have successful programs and can share their experiences. So thank you, Philip and Karen. Thank you for today. And this video will be available on our YouTube channel.